cold temperature, you can have very high direct losses of snow. Then the water resources for artificial snow production in winter are limited. That's the same case in the Alps. In wintertime, the water is frozen, and so very little is available. And the other thing is that the topography is not very high, which restricts ski run length and slope. In the Alps, we can have 1,500, 1,800 meters of ski runs in our longest runs, and here it would usually be limited to about 1,000 meters. So let us look, this is one of my last slides, at the snow climatology of northeastern China and Japan. Let's start in Sapporo. So this is the snow water equivalent, 180 millimeters of snow water equivalent. That's 18 centimeters of snow water equivalent. That's a purple. And you can see that most of the snow comes in winter time. Yeah? And the rest, the blue, is rainfall. The green is in between rainfall and snowfall. Now this is the same scale for HARBIN, about the same altitude. The meteorological stations are of course in the lowlands, and we have to project upwards for the ski areas. Here the snowfall is much, much less. We have snow water equivalent of only 64 millimeters, and precipitation, yeah, is less than half. And we have again, well, about the same winter season, but much, much less. Then going further on to Ulaanbaatar, much higher altitude, but even though we're at such a high altitude, it's so dry by the time we get here that we have nearly no snowfall, and again, much less rainfall. And the situation in Urumqi looking a bit better again. The snowfall is higher, of course, and precipitation higher. And this is because Japan and Sapporo get the moist oceanic winds, and here you get again the moisture winds coming from the west. And HARBIN is situated right at the fringe between, I don't know how well you can see the green area and the yellow area, between the area that gets ample snow to very little snow. So the amount of snowfall, it's about maybe 50 times less snow water equivalent that you get here in HARBIN than in a typical high altitude site in the European Alps. So very quickly, the number of days with snow cover. How long does this snow stay? In HARBIN, it will stay about 70 days. Urumqi, of course, because of the cold climate, it stays much longer, about 200, 220 days in Sapporo as well. And here, these regions are really better off than the European Alps. You have the cold temperature, so your snow stays for longer. We have the problem with climate change that our snow season is decreasing more and more. So I picked out Yamuli Ski Resort from the literature, and I looked at some of the positive effects of creating the ski resort. You are doing something on lowering CO2 emissions because there's a railway connection, so you can, that's a big advantage because, as I said, many European resorts are not connected directly by railway. The area is less affected by global warming because it's protected by low temperatures, and the ski areas are situated usually in lower density forests than is the case for us, so it will have less impact on forest and vegetation. The disadvantage is that there's too much dependence on artificial snow production, and that ecologically and economically this is not viable in the long run, as you have seen for the European examples. So my suggestions are to look at alternative traditional winter activities such as sledge riding or ski sailing. Ski sailing, this is on skis with the sail, and there's even a worldwide association for that, because that would take the advantage of your very low temperatures and of your perfect long ice cover that you have here. Other alternatives are snowshoeing, that means with snowshoes going up the mountains, which you can also do when there's a very low snow cover. So you are independent of artificial snow. Okay, last of all, a small introduction to my family. This is my brother, married to a Chinese from Shenyang with their 2 children, and my mother. This was at Christmas time. So thank you very much to China for hosting this wonderful event, and for inviting us to give this presentation. And it's my pleasure to take questions. Thank you. About the size of the stage, it produces snow at plus 20 degrees Celsius. But okay, how long will it stay? Half an hour, or for one event, for one day, for half a day? And of course, it's extremely energy consumptive. Yeah? Very, very costly, this technique.
Thank you. Any other questions? On the quiet, he's a member of the refereeing commission for the International Federation for fencing. But I think the stunning part of his CV, which I read here, was that he's been engaged and very closely involved in the organisation of risk management for 13 Summer and Winter Olympic Games, which I think is a fantastic record. So he's coming here today to talk to us about risk management. Welcome, Patrick. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I will try to speak about risk management for large events during the half an hour I have to speak to you. The risk management and insurance are the two facets of the two aspects of the same philosophy. The events must take place on the set date at the chosen venue within the predetermined budget. These 3 points are really very important because all the games organizers are problem in particular right now in London. With the budget, and it's very important during the bidding process to be very clear in terms of predetermined budget. So we will see during this speech 5 areas which are of the risk management, which are risk identification, contract analysis and review, contingency planning, claims administration, and loss prevention and control. The modelization of the risk management process is very, I can say very simple, but it's a long way. Just to give you an example, for the risk management process in Beijing, we work around more than 3 years. So the first part of the process is to identify the risk. Is to identify the risk. This is the first phase of the job. After that, we have to assess the risk, to treat the risk. It means to find solution in order to avoid the risk. And monitoring. It means to follow the risk, even if we find a good solution for the treatment. And in these 4 phases, we have to measure, compare, improve, and inform. Information is a very important problem, in particular when you have a large event like the Olympics, because you have an incredible number of people working within the Olympic organizing committee, and we have to inform everybody about the risks they have to treat. So the risk identification is a long process, something between 6 months and 1 year. It depends the size of the event. And we have to organize meetings with all the project manager for risk assessment. For example, in Beijing, for the 2008 Olympics, we organized 64 meetings with 2 or 3 people, which are all of them in charge of one particular project, one particular functional area. And after these different meetings, which take, as I told you, between 6 months and 1 year, we have to create a risk register, which is the basis of our job, and to analyze the risk by applying a quantification system. I will show you the quantification system. We use two lines of analysis, which is probability of occurrence and severity. And we give a note, 1 if the risk is very good, 5 if the risk is very bad. It's the same thing for occurrence and severity. And if we, if we arrive in this area, which is red or orange, between 12 point and 25 point, we have a very bad risk and we have to treat this risk. As the opposite, if we have a risk between 2 and 4, maybe 6, we can accept this risk because the risk is, in this case, acceptable. To identify the risk, we use a matrix of what we call the 4 quadrant of risk, in which we have strategic risk, financial risk, hazard and force majeure risk, and operational risk. I show you the target, which is you have the event in the middle, and you have risk internally driven and risk externally driven. When I say externally, it could be by the International Federation, by the FISU, for example, or by the IOC, or by the FIFA if it is a football event. And we'll go into detail right now. So the first quadrant of risk is financial. So we have to protect the revenue of the event, which are sponsorship, marketing, broadcast right, ticket sales, but also we have to protect this revenue against the currency fluctuation and the interest rates. To give you an example, in Nagano 1998, they receive all the revenue in dollars, and they make all the expense in yen. During one night, something happened in the world, and the dollar lost something like 30% in one night.